What's up YouTube, I'm Mike, and today I'm finally back with an update video. I've been away from the camera for a while now, I don't even know how long. I could look, but it's irrelevant. You guys already know. So this video is basically just going to be a quick update because I am finally back. Not to YouTube, that's not what I'm saying. My body is back to full and complete functionality. And at this point, there's no way to blame it on anything but the testosterone. So for those of you who've been following my ups and downs, my cycles, I attempted to go on a no testosterone cycle where I was using estradiol valerate to maintain my estrogen levels, a physiological amount of estrogen. I was running nandrolone. I started with DECA. Basically, I was running DECA, masteron, and trenbolone. So I had no aromatizable compounds other than the DECA, which proved to really not aromatize at all. And I was using estradiol valerate to maintain healthy levels of estrogen. This was backed up by blood work. I've talked about this at length. This cycle I thought was a game changer. I in fact made a video saying testosterone replacement therapy is dead. I was getting, in the early going of my no testosterone cycle, I was feeling better than I had felt in a very long time. I had full sexual functionality, full physical functionality, good workouts in the gym, everything was going great. Everything in my entire life continued to go perfectly great without any testosterone in my system until around the 6-month mark or so, give or take, I don't know exactly, and my D game completely broke and stopped functioning. I had absolutely no libido. I had very hard time maintaining erections. I was having trouble finishing. Like, I was just totally out of the game. It got to the point where I mentioned in the past where literally I had no sensitivity. Like, there was no sexual sensitivity to my penis at all. I began to be convinced that this was due to a lack of DHT because there are 5-alpha reductase is expressed in penile tissue and the prostate gland and all of these different places. And my hypothesis became that I was not getting a physiological amount of DHT from the from the DHT derivatives. I had hoped that drugs like Proviron, Masteron would fully replace DHT in my body. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to discourage anybody who's trying to do this for their own purposes. Everything was working great for me. I don't know, like some guys get what's called post-finasteride syndrome or finasteride syndrome. When they take a DHT blocker, it absolutely totally neuters them, gives them a very similar set of symptoms to what I experienced. Reduced penile sensitivity, no libido, busted erections. All of these same things can come from taking doses of finasteride that I suspect are just too high for them, and they're crushing their DHT levels into oblivion. Because I had no true DHT. I had no physiological, biologically identical testosterone in my system. I was trying to replace testosterone with 19 nortestosterone, and in me that did not work, and it totally and completely broke my D game. So a little over a month ago, I decided to reintroduce testosterone to see if that would solve the problem. I reintroduced testosterone at 80 milligrams a week. Yes, 80 milligrams a week. Let me confirm that. Yes, it is 80 milligrams a week. I'm taking 40 milligrams of testosterone cypionate twice a week. That number, to be perfectly honest, I just pulled it out of my ass. I just guessed. I had been taking 0 testosterone. My objective was to find an amount of testosterone that would give me a physiological amount of estradiol at the high end of the range without having to take any aromatase inhibitors. That was the goal. That's what I set out to achieve. How much testosterone do I need alongside trenbolone? Masteron is all I'm running right now. I'm currently running 80 milligrams of testosterone cypionate per week. I'm running about 150 milligrams of Tren Twins a week, and I'm running 600 milligrams of Masteron per week. Masteron is not an aromatase inhibitor, guys, and I just further proved it. Masteron is not an aromatase inhibitor. Masteron is not a SERM. I went to the doctor and got my blood work back. And finally, after all the ups and downs, the misery, the broken D game, the horrible mint experiment, all of the nightmares caused by the 19 NOR drugs, everything, my D game has been fully and perfectly functional since about the end of, I would say, around week 2 of reinstituting the testosterone. This entire time since I've been back on T, my feel meter has been telling me that my testosterone level was at the high end of the normal range. That's what I said. If you go back to my previous video, you will see that I predicted, based on my feels, based on the way I feel inside, that my estrogen was either high normal or slightly above the top end of the reference range. The reason for this is because I have raging libido. I have raging out of control, like hour-long morning woods, and everything is functioning completely normally. Like absolute porn star level functionality is finally returned to my life after about 7 months of misery, honestly. So I decided to go out and get my blood work checked because, honestly, about a week ago, I ran into a little problem. About a week ago, I suddenly started having some dysfunction again. The same old familiar problems. Not being able to get fully hard, not being able to finish, loss, a little bit of a loss of libido. But I noticed that alongside of that, I was a little depressed. I was a little dark. I was a little on the dark side. At that time, I was taking a quarter of a milligram. I was taking a quarter of a milligram 3 times a week of Caber. I was taking 0.75 milligrams of Caber per week, but I had titrated my testosterone dose up higher than it normally is. Normally, I take 0.75 milligrams of cabergoline if I am running 70 to 100 milligrams of Tren E per week. I need about 3/4 of a milligram of Caber to offset that. And so what I noticed was that I was pretty confident that I didn't have an estrogen problem, that I had a prolactin problem. So I upped my Caber dose 1/4 of a milligram total. Actually, that's not even true. What I did was I moved to 1/4 of a milligram every other week, which I forget what that works out to. I think it's like 0.87 or something. It's like 3/4 plus an eighth, I think. I'm taking 1/4 of a milligram of Caber every other day, and occasionally I will add in an extra eighth. So I have to do the math to figure out what it is. But upping the dose of cabergoline. So I went and got my blood work checked a little over a week ago. I went and donated blood. But immediately that night that I donated blood, I increased my cabergoline dose because I wanted to do a test before the estrogen result came back. Over the course of the week that I was waiting for my estrogen result to come back, my D game returned to complete and total functionality. So I pretty much already knew that I had isolated the problem as prolactin, but obviously still, because I literally just threw a dart, basically, I just guessed at 80 milligrams, I needed to have confirmation that I was feeling what I think I was feeling. So I went and got blood work, and the results came back. I did an E2 sensitive test, and the normal range for an adult male is 8 to 35 picograms per milliliter. And I came back at 33.3. Smack dab at the very, very top end of the reference range, exactly how I have been feeling. I cannot tell you guys how much confidence I have regained over the course of the last several months, figuring out what the hell has been going wrong with me. It all started with the mint. I felt like I had dialed everything in my entire cycle in. I knew when my estrogen was high. I knew when it was low. I knew when prolactin was high. I knew when it was low. And then when I went through the mint debacle, and I became totally incapable of reading my body. That's why I quit coaching. That's why I really stopped making the same kind of YouTube videos, because it just destroyed my confidence. And I couldn't come on here and speak with authority about a topic when I didn't even know what the hell was going on in my own body. Getting back on the testosterone fully repaired all of the D game problems that I've been having. My wife and I engaged in 33 minutes of foreplay the other night. I happened to know that it was exactly 33 minutes because that's when the tune porn stopped. 33 minutes of foreplay before the act, and I was perfectly rigid the entire time, extremely sensitive, edging, the whole thing, everything that you would want. Then was able to transfer into the act, go as long as she wanted to go, finish on command. Everybody was happy, everybody was relieved, perfect, ideal, like super physiological D game. That is exactly what I have been looking for all along. And to have been able to achieve it from feels alone. I felt my body and I was dead on. I mean, it's 33 to 35 is the top end of the reference range. I'm at 33.3. That is almost like exactly as, you know, I was saying that I felt like I was at the very high end of normal. I am literally at the very high end of normal. I thought that the side effects that I was experiencing were consistent with a prolactin problem. I dosed cabergoline, the side effects went away. So there you have it, a replacement dose of testosterone for this 44-year-old male is 80 milligrams of Test C. Now in hindsight, I wish I had gotten a sensitive testosterone check. I may end up doing that just to find out, like, how much testosterone do I actually have in my body with my E2 at the very top end of the reference range. That would be, that's probably something I'm gonna have to do. I don't care how much testosterone I have because I'm using other androgens for the purposes of fulfilling androgenicity and anabolism. And the amount of testosterone and the amount of DHT that I have is clearly sufficient to give me porn star D game. So I'm getting every single thing that I want out of the testosterone, which I cannot tell you how happy I am. My biggest concern was that what was going to happen was I was going to re-administer testosterone, but I was going to require more T than I could get away without my estrogen going high. And I do not want to have to take any Arimidex. The whole point of getting off the testosterone was to not have to control my estrogen with the Arimidex. So, like, if I go get my testosterone checked, and let's just say, hypothetically speaking, I have like an 800 nanogram testosterone level, that would be really great. If I'm on the high end of normal of T, or even a little bit higher, and I have high end of normal estrogen, then that would be great. What would be kind of fucked up is if I go get my testosterone checked at 80 milligrams of T a week and find out that I'm at like 500 or 400, and yet I'm almost completely out of the range on estrogen, because that would mean that there's no way that I can exogenously replace normal testosterone levels without having to have Arimidex. I would like to think that that's not the case. I would like to think that I'm probably high end of normal on my testosterone level. It does go to show you though, when you're getting 200 milligrams of test from the TRT clinic, that is clearly absolutely not necessary, because I am fully functional from a testosterone perspective on only 80 milligrams per week. Everything is working perfectly and my estrogen is right exactly where I want it. Honestly, it could come down a hair because I do cry a lot. Like, dude, I was looking at pictures earlier. I was posting somewhere, and I was looking at pictures of mountains and cinnamon black bears and fucking rainbows from our trip to Yellowstone, and just got totally verklempt. Like, I was just like, I was biting off the tears. Estrogen at the high end of normal makes me very, very emotionally sensitive. My wife said something to me the other day. I can't even remember what it was. She said something that it wasn't demeaning, but it just caught me. Like, suddenly I realized, like, she doesn't seem to understand her value to me. And like, I was like sobbing through trying to explain to her why she's so important to me. It's like, it's weird because it's not sadness. Like, it just causes me to cry, like, at beautiful things. Like, I'll cry at happy things. It's totally weird. I don't like it. It doesn't bother her, thankfully. I feel like I don't love it. I would definitely prefer to be less less sensitive emotionally. The problem is that there seems to be a definitive trade-off. If I lower my estrogen further down to where I stop crying all the time, I don't have the same level of libido. So in order to have raging libido, it has to be accompanied by crying at mountain photos and sunsets and fucking rainbows. I don't know. I'll take it. It doesn't bother her. I'll live with it. So there you have it. I'm very, very, very happy to report that I'm back in business. I'm going to say one other thing to close this video. Referencing being back in business, one of the reasons I stopped coaching and totally abandoned the program on that, like I said, was because I lost confidence in my ability to feel my body, and it made me believe that I wasn't going to be capable of helping other people. And the other reason I stopped coaching is because part of my coaching protocol was to be able to fulfill every need that a person could have. So if a person wanted to have an anabolics, consultation, I needed to be able to have options for them. And my option has been gone for a very long time. I'm not mentioning the name again because I don't want to F it up again, but rumor has it, my people are coming back, baby. If my people are coming back, it is going to be game changing, and I am definitely going to get to reinvest myself back more into the bodybuilding community. Once I thought I had lost access to that, it basically made my channel impossible. There wasn't going to be any way that I was going to be able to continue to afford to run experiments and help people and guide people when I couldn't, there's no way, for me, ethically, there's no way for me to coach guys who are enhanced without knowing that what they're using is good and quality and is what it says it is. Like if I'm just hoping their shit is real, and then I'm trying to help them cope with side effects or lack of gains or whatever, that's a variable that I can't. There's no way to coach around. So if in fact my buddies are back in biz, then a lot of things are probably going to change on this channel. If not, the channel may go away, honestly. Like, I was borderline ready to just be done because I feel like I've talked about everything that I could talk about, and nobody cares about my personal life outside of bodybuilding anyway, and it's just a liability. And so, it's like I was debating on whether to just pull the plug on the whole thing. Hopefully, I'm not going to have to do that. Hopefully, they're coming back into the picture, and we can all get back to doing what we love to do the most. I'm happy to report that I'm still maintaining an impeccable physique. I am peeled and ripped. I have, my training is still in the toilet. I have a new hobby that I can't even talk about for reasons that's taking up a lot of my time, and it's very expensive. And so I still haven't been getting to the gym as much as I would like. What I have been doing is trying to get in there at least a few days a week. And my wife and I started doing German volume training. I told her, I was like, I've been maintaining my physique on so little exercise. I told her, I was like, look, we're both enhanced. We're both going to hold tissue no matter what we do. Let's go in there and just do German volume training. So we have literally been maintaining our physiques. And I mean, like, I posted some videos. You can see that I haven't lost anything noticeable. I am only lifting like at a maximum a half hour 3 times a week. So I'll go in and do 2 exercises, German volume training. What I'm calling German volume training, I think is like 10 by 10. So like I'll go in and I'll do bench press, 10 sets of 10 reps with whatever weight that I can do 10 sets of 10 reps with. And then I'll transition over, like I'll do like incline press, 10 times 10. And then I'll go over and I'll do like like machine flies or dumbbell flies. And I'll either do 8 by 8 or 10 by 10, depending on how I'm feeling, how much time I want to put into it. This has been sufficiently stimulating my muscles. I've been getting sore. I've been maintaining my pump on, 18 to 20 working sets. I don't know if you want to, like, German volume training is very light in the beginning. So if you ever try it, it's going to feel really easy. Basically, you pick a weight. So like, to give you an example, I think I'm pressing like 165, and so you start out and you get 10 reps, no problem. But you only take I take 1 minute rest in between each set. So you have very short rest intervals, and you do 10 consecutive sets of 10. And by the time I'm getting down to, set 7, 8, 9, I'm really struggling and really feeling the burn. And then I set the weight accordingly. I forget what it is on the pec deck to do the same thing. And so then on back day, I'll do like a pull down in a row. And I might throw in a third thing and do some shrugs in between, like whatever I can do. Basically, I'm just paring the workout down to this most really basic format. Really just trying to get a pump and just maintain what I have. And that's been working flawlessly. I'm holding around 203 in the evening. Very lean, very dry, very vascular, very aesthetic looking, without running a crazy amount of gear. I know like a lot of people think that, 600 milligrams of Masteron, 150 milligrams of Trin's a lot. For me, I'm not gonna say it feels like nothing. You can't feel the Masteron, but 150 milligrams of Trin is, I feel it. Like I feel it every single day, especially with the ACE in there. I feel it every single day. So, but it's giving me the perfect amount of motivation to do what I want to do. And so there you have it. So I'm very happy to report I have zero intentions of changing this. It's certainly not the testosterone. I have zero intentions of changing anything that could possibly affect aromatization of the current amount of testosterone that I'm running. So I'm not even gonna, maybe one day down the road, just to try to prove some people wrong, I'll throw some Primo in the mix and see if it crashes my estrogen. I don't think Primo's an AI. I've had a lot of people say that it is. I would be a really good test case because I only have 80 milligrams of test in my system. So if I throw in 200, 300, 400 milligrams of Primo, I should knock my estrogen into the absolute toilet. And in my experience, I've run Primo several times, and I have never once had symptoms of low estrogen despite staying on a known amount of Arimidex. So if I know that I need, say, 3 milligrams of Arimidex at 500 milligrams of test, and I add 400 milligrams of Masteron, and I notice absolutely no reduction in estrogen or D-gain or anything, to me it says it's not working. But I've got guys in the Discord that swear, that with blood work even, that they ran test and Primo only, no AI, and they had their E2 pegged in the range. So I don't know. I just wish somebody, I would love it if somebody, anybody, could tell me scientifically exactly how Primo is an AI. That's my biggest problem, is that nothing in the science says that it's an AI. And if you're gonna argue that a metabolite is an AI, what metabolite and how potent is it? How potent is this metabolite compared to an anastrozole or something? Somebody should know this information, and somehow it's just not out there and I don't understand it. So, but right now, everything is working perfectly good for me. If I was gonna do anything different, it would just be go up on the Trin and up on the Masteron. Those two drugs I know I can handle. I know how to offset the Trin. I was on a higher dose of Trin and I lowered it just because it was too much. And so I'm gonna cruise. I'm going to cruise here for now and enjoy the return of my D game and my wife. So there you have it. I'm not going to make any promises as to how many videos will be coming up. I got a lot of shit going on at work. Spoiler alert. Things are not looking good, guys. Things are not looking good. I went into this thing with a head full of steam, and they are crushing my fucking spirit. They're just crushing it by the day. It's looking very, 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 very grim. My boss is constantly afraid that I'm going to leave and go to work for another company, and I just want to leave and go back to the mountains. I'm ready to go back into retirement. Working is just not. I was looking at pictures tonight, and man, I miss the freedom of being out west. And so my wife and I are having some very, very long, serious talks about selling this house. So there you have it. Stay tuned. There's no telling what could come up next. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.